It is another edition of Madden Benz Unfiltered. Tim Benz and Mark Madden with you. Coming up in just a little bit, Mark gives a full Guns N' Roses concert review of his trip out to Hershey, a preview of what we will all see at PNC Park coming up on Friday. But first, we go back in time to Friday of last week where the Steelers played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got a win in the preseason, and Mark, most importantly, the offense actually looked like it was modern, like it was up to date, and it was effective.
Well, yeah, for that first series it did, and that was a nice play over the middle for a 33-yard touchdown to Pickens, 21 yards after the catch. Tim, I thought I was hallucinating. Like you said, for one play anyway. I mean, my God, a touchdown from outside the red zone. The Steelers only did that twice all of last year. They did it twice on Friday night, albeit the second time with Mason Rudolph and all the jabronis in for both sides. But I'll take what I can get. Pickett looked good on that first series, and that is exactly how they have to keep utilizing Pickens. They need to use him all over the field and not just down the sideline where he can never get that catch and run. It's safer, but risk equals reward.
Precisely, and it's a point I made a big deal about a lot during the offseason, which was when we talk about yards after catch, the Steelers receivers, you look at Pickens for a rookie, he had over 800 receiving yards, which is pretty good, but he had 104 only after the catch. He had 22 on that one play right there, and it wasn't like, Juju Smith-Schuster against the Patriots of a couple years ago. He wasn't weaving his way through traffic maniacally for 79 yards, but that's enough. And occasionally you got to score from beyond the red zone. We made such a big deal about are they going to be better in the red zone this year. How about occasionally popping from beyond the red zone? And that wasn't a bomb. It wasn't like a diagrammed huge play, but it worked because they hit the guy in stride and he has the athleticism to go from there.
I can make it even more basic than that, Tim. They got to score more and faster. And I say that all the time. People are probably tired of hearing me say it. Well, guess what? I'm tired of having to say it. Okay, it's not the league they want it to be. They can't bend their opponents to their will. Well, not the good ones anyway. So they have to become more modern. They have to score more and faster.
Steelers fans want to hear from you. What did you think about the Steelers' first offensive performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I thought it took a little bit of a lull or a lag there when the second team got in, Mark, at least initially with Trubisky. But Calvin Austin got free on a few jet sweeps, also managed to catch a deep touchdown bomb from Mason Rudolph. Although I got the impression of the podcast, you just think that was a preseason effect, more of an August effect.
Yeah, I don't think Calvin Austin's going to have much to do with anything. I don't feel Anthony McFarland's going to have much to do with anything. Anthony McFarland would have been on the field a long time ago if that was ever going to happen. And Calvin Austin, I just think he's too small. And I think he'll get hurt if they try to use him too much. So I don't think they'll use him too much. I mean, that jet sweep, we've been hearing about the jet sweep from Canada, since he took over. And it's not been run to real great effect so far or very often.
It hasn't. Now, the counter to that will be they haven't had anybody that can run it the right way, and maybe Austin can, but I tend to agree that it's going to have to be in spurts. And honestly, Mark, they can't make the most out of everybody on offense that we're pumping up in the preseason. Like if they were to get the most that we're talking about out of Washington, out of Austin, out of Allen Robinson, well, that would mean that they would have to have the football 50 minutes a game. And that's
I think Allen Robinson will get some stuff done. I think he'll be a good number 3. Tim, I bet there are some days Washington doesn't even dress. I see him still as the third tight end, don't you? And I'm always suspicious when we say, how'd that guy last till the third round with that size and athleticism? Well, there's always a reason for that.
I've gotten the impression as camp has rolled along, Mark, that they have been impressed enough with Washington that they're going to find a way to dress him until he proves that he shouldn't be dressed, because I get the vibe, especially since Mullet Monty retired, that they're just going to consider Hayward a fullback and dress all 3 of the tight ends and not think twice about it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think they might dress Hayward with an eye toward him being the third tight end. And, do like they do with 50 linemen.
Yeah, it might be nomenclature. It might be splitting hairs, but I think they could see him as a guy who plays both roles.
Well,
Hayward, I'm
who's
talking
higher
about.
on the depth chart right now, Gentry or Washington at tight end?
I believe Gentry is listed higher.
Yeah, I think that's going to hold at least for a while.
Although,
In the pursuit of these guys have to earn it. A rookie just can't step right in and play for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'll go back to your point about the McFarland touchdown. I thought that was really well blocked, and both of those tight ends, Gentry and Washington, were in on that play. Even Gunner had a hand in that.
I like Gentry. Always have. Think he's been underestimated pretty much since he set foot in camp the first year.
Was there anything you didn't like, Mark? Did anything stand out to you that either from an individual standpoint or a team collective standpoint that was alarming for game one?
Jim, I watched the game on tape, and it took me about 33 minutes to watch the entirety, what with the miracle of the fast forward button.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I liked. I liked Quan Alexander. I thought he was making plays and playing with a great deal of aggression on defense. So I wrote in my Trib column, which might be up as we speak at the triblive.com website, that if he continues to outplay Holcomb and Roberts, he should start. There's certain guys you can't have preconceived notions about. And two mediocre inside linebackers who are in their first year with the team, who ain't made a Pro Bowl between them, they shouldn't have this edge over Alexander just because they were here first by a matter of a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I want to hear from Steelers fans. We've talked a lot about the positives so far. Everybody accuses us of being too negative. Well, we've done nothing but talk about the positives for the first 8 minutes of our broadcast here. So let's get you talking about the positives as well. And on the negative side.
Tim, I wrote that in my column today, too. Paul Zeiss, the talk host, had a great line. It's a simple line, but a great line. He said you can't have a conversation about the Steelers. And you can't. You can't. The Steelers are the MAGA of local sports. Okay, the facts don't matter. You just yell and yell again. If you tweet, it's all caps, and you get your opinion accepted as fact.
Well, that kind of speaks to the whole Baltimore Oriole broadcast thing, Mark, honestly, where I just think we fostered that environment as sports fans and sports media, especially.
Yeah, but it's Gen Z, too.
In what regard?
Well, Gen Z is just, a weak, homery, yell loud, have no backbone generation.
Well, I think it's also just seeking acceptance and advancing what you believe will be accepted.
I think you're right.
Speaking to an audience that you know already agrees with you, and then you get affirmation for your opinion from people that you don't even know online. And that's the extension of that is what happened to the Baltimore Oriole broadcaster. The Orioles felt like the environment was such that they could get away for suspending a guy for nothing. And that was an extreme example, but underneath that tent is a lot of other room for lesser things.
No. It's all headed that way. And that makes me glad I'm a lot closer to the end than I am the middle. Although that Kevin Brown guy, that Orioles guy, that statement he put out.
It was read like a hostage note.
Yeah, it was like, okay, cough twice if there's a gun at your temple. and I think he wimped out. That statement, I love the Orioles love me. He should have quit, ripped the owner, and got a job elsewhere the next day. Instead, he emasculated himself with that statement.
Well, another example of what has been fostered by who we are online and how we deal with each other in the social media sphere is there's no more powerful element in the world right now than being a victim. And he was, in this case, I think, rightly advanced as a victim, so to speak.
He actually was a victim.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But he played it all wrong.
And he didn't take advantage of it. Like, he had every broadcaster in every major league market on national outlets saying if he wants a job in any of the other markets in baseball, he's going to get it tomorrow. He was having people say the Mike Tomlin thing for him. If he got fired today, he'd have a job tomorrow. I would have jumped in with both feet on that.
And you know where the Orioles owner, who's obviously a dink, Angelos.
Yes.
Where he played it all wrong was they're having just this marvelous season, and the franchise has been resurrected. And he found a way to dump a big old you-know-what in the punch bowl.
Right, exactly. He got people talking about a negative for a team that really should have no negatives being spoken about it because they're having such a resurgent season.
But by the way, Tim, this goes totally against the grain of what we're talking about, but we brought up the Orioles.
Yeah.
Did you see that catch Cedric Mullins made yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Center fielder from Baltimore. He reached way over the fence to bring a home run back, okay? And we see catches like that, not all the time, but, 2-3 times a week maybe?
Yeah.
Why isn't that a home run?
Because it never hit the ground beyond the fence.
Oh, it has to hit the ground?
Or it has to hit a fan or something
Why?
beyond the fence.
Why?
Huh?
I mean, in hockey and soccer, if the ball crosses the goal line, it's a goal. In football, if the ball crosses the plane, it's a touchdown.
Because I believe they always give the fielder.
Why isn't that a home run if it goes over the fence and over the yellow line?
Well, why isn't it a foul ball if it goes over the fence to the side then?
It is a foul ball.
But if it's caught, he's still out.
No, but that's in play. Over that yellow line is out of play.
I think they always just give the fielder a chance to establish possession before it's deemed to be an out.
I mean, obviously they do, but it contradicts a lot of other rules, like I just said.
I think, that's why you can't fall over the fence and carry the ball over with you. Like if you, for instance, if you catch a
no, you can. I saw that happen just the other day.
But if you do it for home run?
No, on foul territory.
Oh, foul territory, yes. Yeah, right.
Okay,
but
why is that different? My point is baseball sucks.
Okay. What'd you think of the ejections for the Pirates?
I thought
All three guys got
was
run
going
at
to wind
once.
up being the manager.
Andrew McCutchen, player manager, that would have been something.
Well, I didn't see the call. I only saw the aftermath. What was the call?
They're arguing balls and strikes.
Were they right in their argument? Were the calls being botched?
I can't remember the call that they actually flipped out about, but it had been a series of them. They just felt like their pitcher was getting squeezed.
I think they should put a rule in with replay being so pervasive, not just in baseball, but all the sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you get ejected for arguing a call where replay shows that you, the manager, the player, whoever, was arguing in the right, your ejection should be rescinded and you should be restored to the game.
So they wouldn't be arguing in most cases if it's not balls and strikes, because you can't review balls and strikes. Everything else,
but you know what's a ball and a strike because of the automated strike zone we see on TV, and that's what they should be using anyway.
So you're saying you can't get ejected by a robot, so go to the robots anyway?
No, you can't be ejected if the call you're arguing turns out to be wrong and you were right.
Yeah, I think that's why that exists for balls and strikes, because that's what they're trying to say. You can't argue balls and strikes.
No, that's always been a tradition. You can't argue balls and strikes because there would be an argument every pitch conceivably.
Yeah.
But the umpires are so bad, there almost is.
I want to hear from you, Pirates fans too, baseball fans. You can post your comments.
That's a home run, Tim. I don't give a damn what anybody says.
We kind of got away from football too quickly there, but I wanted to follow up on your Quan Alexander.
You can never get away from football too quickly. Here we are, Tim, middle of August. I'm already sick of it. The saturation in the offseason has made me sick of it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I mean, if you're sick of it in August, I don't think it's because of what's happened in August. I think it's because of what's happened in June, and late May.
That's true. But, I mean, games have a way of straightening that out, though, because games are new news. Games are current events.
Well, Mark, I think a big part of that is the fact that the Pirates and the Penguins haven't been as competitive as, well, at least the Penguins have been in recent years.
No, Tim. This is nationwide. I mean, you look at ESPN, that Get Up show, the Greenberg show, every single morning is, I don't want to say all football, 90% NFL, 90%.
At least there was a time,
and that's all off season.
At least there was a time here in Pittsburgh where we used to complain, why are they talking about quarterbacks in May when the Bruins and the Penguins are in the Eastern Conference Finals, for instance?
Tim, never mind that. My neighbor just got a new dog that I can see out the window. It's as big as a llama.
What is it, a Great Dane?
It's big and shaggy. In fact, it might be a llama.
Well, maybe they got the llama to eat the lanternflies.
Oh, my God. Now it's stalking my car.
What about Clipper? Does Clipper hate dogs? Would Clipper go after the dog?
She's at the window. She's not thrilled.
So what is it, like a big sheepdog or something like that?
Tim, I think it's a llama.
All right, so there's a llama near Mark at his place on the north side. So keep an eye out for it. Maybe it's one of those goats that escaped that was eating the grass. Did you hear about that? Once the alligator chomper was finally caught, we had to go to that story.
Yeah, Tim, it's a veritable menagerie out there. I like it.
I like this. Llama or dog? You need to catch a picture of it at some point, Mark. We'll post it for next week and have people decide.
I'm scared. What if it would spot me like Sasquatch?
What if it spits at you? Because llamas spit. Did you know that? That's like their instinct is to spit on you.
Yeah, they have like that real acidy spit too. That
right.
could like a spitting cobra that could conceivably damage the paint on the car.
Mark, the other two guys I wanted to talk about that didn't have great games by any stretch that are kind of getting their jobs up for question right now. Pierre at cornerback and Kendrick Green at center. If Kendrick Green isn't going to play fullback, then I don't know what he's doing here after that performance.
Well, Tim, we always hear how the Steelers this year have more depth in the defensive backfield, correct? We're told that. James Pierre is proving that's wrong. They don't have much depth. Okay, the only cornerback I think that didn't play was Joey Porter Jr., right? Or did Pat Pete not play?
If Peterson played, it was very briefly. It might have been like a
but my point is if James Pierre has to play, that's not good, and we saw that. And Kendrick Green, that whole fullback thing, I wrote a column in the Trib about that. It's a joke. It's a sideshow. He played center. He was terrible. Got knocked back into Rudolph, 3 times? Committed a penalty, had a bad snap. He's out.
Boy, he's making Roethlisberger look right after Roethlisberger's little diatribe about why he got drafted in the first place.
Tim, anybody watching, I want you to post a quote of me saying this on Twitter, all your social media outlets. I love the Roethlisberger podcast. I love it. That sumbitch just can't help but tell the truth. I dig it the most. I hate podcasts. He is incredible. He is the king of passive aggressive, but on the podcast, a little less passive and a little more aggressive. I love it.
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to be passive aggressive until he named Kevin Colbert by name, and then you can't call it passive aggressive anymore. That was a direct shot across the bow right there.
It was like Ben said, okay, listen, this Kendrick Green pick, they effed me to death with it. Should have got somebody that could help.
Yeah, I mean, like, the one thing about it is he is absolving himself of blame there, I think, in that regard by putting it all in a rookie center, but it was not a good pick.
I also love it when Ben says in so many words, I love the guy, but he stinks.
Yeah. Hey, good for him. He's working hard. He's doing anything for the team. He's raising his hand to saying, how can I help? But, man, they shouldn't have drafted that guy. This was Marquise Pouncey's replacement, for God's sakes.
My last goal in media, Tim, is to be a guest on the Ben podcast.
And then you'll retire? Then you'll walk off?
It'll be tempting.
Mark, any fallout from the Erik Karlsson trade that sort of bubbled up for you this week?
No, the big Penguin note is that Tomas Tatar, the winger, free agent winger from Slovakia, has had like six 20-goal seasons, it says here. He says there's interest, but he made like $4.5 million last year. He is a free agent. How low would he go? The Penguins are squeezed against the cap, so I don't know how that works out, but I didn't think Dubas could get Karlsson either. There seems to be this narrative that Letang and Karlsson will eventually have a problem with the other being there. I just don't see how that will be any point of consternation for either. They're each going to play between 23 and 25 minutes per game. They can't play more than 30 minutes each per game. Like, if Karlsson played 31 and Letang played 29, would Letang be upset? No, they'd just both be tired. And they're both going to be on the power play. I don't think Chad Rowedel's going to steal undue minutes from either one of them. So I just don't see that conversation. It's just empty talk. Karlsson's going to help the team just incredibly. I mean, the power play acumen and 3-on-3 contribution alone is going to get this team a dozen more points.
So, Mark, one thing I heard advanced was maybe the last right defenseman or whoever the last pair is. I guess we should spread that out to the lefty too, but maybe we're underrating the importance of that because of the penalty kill, since those two guys likely won't be.
Especially the right-sided one. Because, I mean, Ruido has killed penalties. I just wouldn't say he's very good at it. Letang kills. Karlsson, not so much. So, but I mean, maybe you switch somebody to the right side to kill a penalty. I don't know. I mean, but the good still outweighs the bad. I mean, PK is important, but I bet Karlsson scores more in the power play than they get hurt on the PK.
Or do you kind of just include Pedersen and Graves as your two top penalty killers, each on the left side, and worry about matching them back up with Letang and Karlsson, after the next timeout or whenever, whatever.
Let me tell you what I'd consider doing, and they won't.
Okay.
Tim, I'm calling an audible here. I'm making this one up on the fly. I hadn't thought about it till this moment, but that's what makes shows like this terrific. What about using Karlsson on the PK and attacking?
Whew, boy, that's risky.
I don't know. It got Mario Lemieux 13 shorthanded goals in 88-89. That's the way the Penguins did it back then. And it would be so counter to what every team does. Like the minute the Penguins started doing it, the other team would say, oh my God, we got to use two defensemen at the point. Oh my God, we got to be careful. That's a great idea. I'm glad I came up with it. They'll never do it.
So you're going to advance that on the show today?
Maybe tomorrow. I got a lot for today.
All right, let's get to some comments here. We'll
You know
start.
how it goes, Tim. Monday's always loaded. Monday's the easy day.
Oh, yeah, because you have everything backed up. Oh, one other thing, sorry, before we get to comments here. What do you think the NCAA in football should do? What should they do with this whole conference hopping mess?
Okay, well, I don't watch anymore because of all this.
College football specifically?
In the first place. Yeah, I give Pitt a hard time, and I don't like the coach, but I am a kind of, semi-Pitt fan. But if they're not going to play Penn State and West Virginia in meaningful games every year, I'm just not interested. And the realignment of these conferences, it's all for the super big schools. I mean, as long as Ohio State plays Michigan and Auburn plays Alabama and Oklahoma plays Texas, they don't care who else plays else. It's just they don't care. So what they should do, they should take the top, let me think here. What's 16 times 4?
16.
64.
Yeah.
They should take the top 64 teams, put them in 4 leagues of 16, 2 divisions of 8 in each, do it geographically, and then the winners in each division play for the conference championship, and the 4 conference champions go to the national tournament. That's the logical way to do it. That's a pro sports style way, making you earn everything way of doing it, but they just won't do it. There are other variations than that. Like if you took the top, say 40, okay, and had 4 leagues of 10, play everybody in your league once, the 4 winners go to the playoffs, I'd like that too. But none of this makes sense except money-wise. So there you go. And if they're making a ton of money and still maintain the interest of people, they're welcome to do that. I am just not at all interested, Tim. I will probably never watch a college football game again from beginning to end.
Well, people are finally coming around to the notion that I brought up when Pitt and Syracuse and Boston College wound up in the ACC and West Virginia wound up in the Big 12, which is, if college football is going to be its own thing, let college football be its own thing and be in whatever conference you want for the other sports then. Like,
Yeah, at the very least, do all the other sports geographically.
Right, like Notre Dame's in 3 conferences at this. Well, I take that back. They're an independent in football. They're in the Big Ten in hockey, and then they're ACC for everything else.
It's long since time to stop super serving Notre Dame.
Yeah, and Robert Morris is in 5
Notre Dame
conferences
isn't special anymore.
So it's not like it's impossible to be in multiple conferences for multiple sports, and we have to stop pretending.
Right, and now
like
you're going to have the Syracuse women's lacrosse team going to California to play conference games.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a joke.
But Tim, I have totally conquered that by not watching.
Richard says the Steelers tend to take risks and open things up in the preseason, then pull everything back close to the vest once the regular season starts. Tomlin, unfortunately, does live in his fears. I think that speaks to what you said on the podcast, Mark, which was, yeah, good start. This is the way it's supposed to look. Now, don't be afraid to keep doing it if Pickett throws an interception.
Well, right. That'll be the litmus test. When Pickett throws a pick in the first game, then if they go super safe, then it's same old Steelers. And I bet that's what happens.
Jeremy says game was fine, but let's see how the Steelers offense fares against an actual defense and their starters like the 49ers. Yeah, the 49ers are.
Yeah, but to say that, it's accurate, Tim, But, I can't totally devalue what happened either. It's the preseason. It's practice.
And the Niners, for as great as they were last year, they're actually, some of their passing defense stats were pretty mediocre, including run after the catch. They allowed more than most teams did. So maybe
you have to say right now, Tim, you think the Steelers will beat the Niners?
I do, because they tend to play well in openers. I think the 49ers haven't had a great offseason. They got to deal with the Purdy coming back from injury. The other quarterbacks haven't looked great. Nick Bosa's barely played. In fact, he's been absent from training camp. So
I think you're probably right. And I think they have to beat the Niners at home in the opener. A good team, but not an overwhelming team. The Steelers need that win to prove they're for real and get some momentum. I mean, it's one thing to talk yourself into being good, but when you have to be good and you're not good, you can talk yourself out of it pretty quick too. And I think that's part of what's been behind their bad starts in 4 of the last 5 seasons. They convinced themselves in the preseason how great they are and what their potential is, and then they lose a game or two and it all just collapses, the mentality. So, but here's why I think the Niners have a great defense. You'd agree with that. Even without Bosa, that's a great defense.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think some of their passing defense stats aren't as good as maybe they should be, because I think teams were playing catch up against them last year. But, all in all, that's a good defense. Yes.
And I'm not sure the Steelers' run defense is going to be great. It's soft in the middle, and Christian McCaffrey could exploit that badly.
Sam
and
says,
so could Debo with the stuff he does.
Sam says, good point by you. He's talking about the run after catch. That's when he posted that, the run after catch by Pickens. Yeah, that's something they got to unlock, because we never even got a peek at it last year. We didn't even know what it looked like last year.
Well, I'm glad a good point I've been making for the best part of a decade has finally been acknowledged, Tim. Thank you, Sam.
Calvin says Rudolph is better than Trubisky. I don't know if that's the case. It was on Friday, but then again, Rudolph was playing against...
A, no, he's not. B, who cares?
And lastly, Ron wants to know, how were the Pretenders? In fact, Mark, how were the Pretenders? How was Guns N' Roses? What should we expect on Friday here?
Well, that's the problem with Hershey Park Stadium. That's a tough in and out, because the crowd was like probably over 30,000. It's a bigger crowd. They're going to have a PNC. A lot of people in Pittsburgh got tickets to Hershey when they hadn't announced the Pittsburgh date yet. So I talked to a lot of people from Pittsburgh at the concert.
Okay.
But the traffic's so bad because they got 3 venues there: Hershey Park Stadium, Giant Arena, the Giant Center rather, and Hershey Park Stadium. I mean, arena, 2 indoors, 1 outdoors. I believe there was a smaller concert at the Giant Center that night. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. But they got the amusement park right there too.
Yeah.
So the traffic's a bear. So I only caught the last 3 songs, The Pretenders, although what I heard was excellent. Chrissy Hynde has still got it from what I heard. And GNR were great. I mean, Axl's voice took a bit of a break in the middle section, but it started strong and finished strong. And they just have so many good songs. And one thing they're great at, Tim, GNR, they pick great covers. Like most bands, when they do covers, I kind of roll my eyes. They go they went off the board for UK Subs, punk band, Down on the Farm, which was excellent.
Okay.
Duff sang a Stooges cover. It's a very good show.
What about their other cover? Knocking on Heaven's Door, obviously, is a cover.
That's my least favorite part of the show, Knocking on Heaven's Door, because they drag it out too long.
Oh, yeah, they do get jam bandy in the middle of it when they play it sometimes, yeah.
All
right, so we still haven't done brisket reviews, but Mark will do concert reviews during the show today, 3 till 6.
I have not had the brisket I would have liked to have had this summer, Tim, and I think I'll take that with me to my grave, although hopefully no time soon.
This is Madden Benz Unfiltered.